It's time for From the Shortgrass, presented by UAMS Health, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine with Trey, a golf podcast for those who love golf, struggle with golf, and just like to enjoy the outdoors and fellowship with friends, all while chasing a ball around, trying to put it in a 4 1/4 inch diameter hole. From the Shortgrass is presented by UAMS Health, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine, and brought to you by Stevens Incorporated, an independent financial services firm with the freedom to focus on what matters most. By Beechwood Hospitality, we partner with you to deliver high-yield results by managing, developing, and investing in top-quality hospitality assets. And now, from the Shortgrass, here's your host, Trey.
Welcome to another edition of From the Shortgrass, presented by UAMS Health, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine. I am your host, Trey. UAMS Ortho now open at the Orthopedic and Spine Hospital at UAMS Health. If you have an orthopedic injury, sports, work, or anything else, walk in and see the best in orthopedic care. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 8, and Saturday, 8 to noon. Located at the Orthopedic and Spine Hospital at UAMS Health. Coming up on this edition of From the Shortgrass, I sit down with LIV Golf on-course analyst Su Ann Heng. I sat down with her back in Dallas over the summer. You're going to enjoy this interview. She was great and gracious with her time, so we're going to jump right to it right after this.
Carlton Saffa here with Saracen Casino and Bet Saracen. Saracen is proud to be the official gaming partner of the Simmons Bank Championship presented by Stevens. Join us Tuesday, October 21st for the Caddy Shootout at Pleasant Valley. Watch all the action under the lights as they play around the lake, and join us for the party that comes with it, including hats from Social Pony Hat Bar and music by Gone Country. For all the details, go to SimmonsBankChampionship.com.
I'm Dr. Lowry Barnes. When it comes to orthopedic care, there's no place like the Orthopedic and Spine Hospital at UAMS Health. We built this hospital just for you, with state-of-the-art surgical suites, advanced technology, and the state's largest group of fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeons. It's the best place in Arkansas to get you moving again. And if you need urgent orthopedic care, UAMS Ortho Now is right here for you at the Orthopedic and Spine Hospital at UAMS Health, where motion lives and service leads.
The next time you travel to El Dorado and need overnight accommodations, the Haywood Hotel is where you need to stay. The Haywood El Dorado Tapestry Collection by Hilton is a great place to stay if you're in South Arkansas listening to live music or playing the challenging Mystic Creek Golf Club. Take time and relax in their bar for a drink before going out on the town for dinner. The Haywood, 210 South Washington, right in the heart of downtown El Dorado. Search the Haywood El Dorado on the web or call 800-293-0718 for reservations. The Haywood, a Beechwood hospitality property.
Welcome back to this edition of From the Shortgrass, presented by UAMS Health, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine. I am your host, Trey. Beechwood Hospitality, Matthew Allen and Blair Allen. They know how to manage hotel properties. When you need an overnight place to stay, make sure you look for a Beechwood Hospitality hotel. You'll be glad you did. Su Ann Heng from Singapore started playing golf early in her life. She enjoys playing the guitar, music, tennis, bowling, cooking, photography, and dancing. She was a member of the Singapore national golf team. She played on the Australia Tour in 2012 and 2013. Now she is an on-course analyst for LIV Golf. On the tee, Su Ann Heng. Su Ann, thanks for joining me on this edition of From the Shortgrass. When did you first pick up a golf club?
I would say when I was like 9. We started as a family. So I've got an older brother. It's just the two of us, and then mom and dad. And I think mom and dad worked a ton and wanted to do something with us that's outdoors. And look, golf is not. It's probably a pretty expensive sport where I'm from. But so we started on the driving range and just had a couple of lessons, and I loved it. Like from the get-go, I just never had a doubt. I was always into sport my entire life, but I loved golf. Mm-hmm. And so kind of one thing led to another. Started, you know how it goes. You just go into a club comp and you play the monthly medal and you play the club championship and you do that. You win, you lose, you get mad. And then kind of got into the national team in Singapore.
Where you're from?
Where I'm from. Yes,
Yep.
is the little red dot is what we call ourselves. We're so small. But yeah, so represented the country when I was like 13.
Wow.
And did it for about 6 years on the national team. So did Southeast Asia games and and then I'm obviously, in between all that, probably when I was the age of 14 going to 15, decided that I really wanted to take this to the next level and I wanted to play professionally. Guys like Tiger and Phil Mickelson, I'm sure this is just everybody else in this game of golf that got inspired by those guys, but that's what happened with me. Tiger was in his era of greatness, and Phil was obviously he's a Hall of Famer now. And I knew that I had to get out of Singapore to pursue it.
Right.
I needed more tournaments. I needed more competition play. My coach was based out there. We needed facilities. Singapore is small. So I did that for about 4.5 years. I did high school as well.
Where'd you go?
Perth.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's about 4 hours, 4.5 from Singapore in a plane. And my coach was based out there. And so that's how we decided where to go. And it was awesome. I learned so much. It was an eye-opening experience. Little young girl, Asian girl from Singapore that's just completely going to a country that has a different culture. And even my practice, my development was completely different. Started working out, never really knew what that was about. So then from there, I looked for colleges in the U.S. after I graduated high school, as most people do. And Daytona at the time was called Daytona Community College.
Okay. In Florida, right next to the Speedway.
Right next to the Speedway. It was an enlightening week, Daytona 500. I remember my first year there, I was like, I had no idea what was happening. We don't watch Daytona 500 very much in Asia, I don't think. And I speak for myself. And so I remember driving.
The influx of people.
It's insane. And I remember I was driving this little Corolla 10, just sitting at a light, and I probably had about 8 Harley Davidsons around me. My car was shaking because of the exhaust from all the motorbikes. But anyways, I was on full ride scholarship there. I had a great time. Coach was awesome and had a fantastic team of teammates. And I think, my swing wasn't great, right? I kind of shifted away from being technical, but I just played a lot of golf and I played some of my best golf. I think everyone's best is a bit different, but at the time, my best golf. And but unfortunately, got burnt out. And, I think I had left at such a young age and had sacrificed so much. And I think I got to 18, 19. And just was like, what am I doing?
Was it a tough decision to quit the game?
Absolutely. That was all I knew. Right. And I, when it's like playing a game of poker, you're like, I've gone this far, I got to keep going. But, I think I felt like it's a difficult conversation to have with yourself. There's so many emotions. You feel like a failure. You feel like you're being weak. Are you questioning yourself? But I think the main thing was I realized I wasn't happy. At that time, I realized that I hadn't really lived my life the way a teenager normally does, and realized I'd never been to a prom, and and kind of got to a point in my life where I was like, is this gonna be me for the rest of life? And so I kind of, it was really tough because I had 2-year scholarship, pretty much just guaranteed, and I was playing good, but I just knew I wanted to be happy. I needed to be happy. And I think by the time I was there, I was away from home for 6 years. I would go home for visits, but, I didn't have my family with me. I didn't have people that
you could rely on.
My village, right?
Yeah.
Although I found that with my team, but still, I think it was, by the time I got to that, I was like, I don't know. I had to go home. So I did.
But you're still involved with golf.
I am.
And so it's still a part of your life.
Very much so. In fact, I went home. I graduated. I did my university. You guys call it college. I did double major, interned at like a brand consulting marketing firm, and got offered a full-time job. And I think that was when I was like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this yet. I think I need to go back and revisit some demons that maybe I hadn't fully shut.
Okay.
So I went to explore trying to play again, practiced, and got myself back in kind of golf shape, and just took about a year, maybe more. But I think I never really found it after I stopped, and so I tried to play anyway. I tried playing. I tried for about 5 years. I moved back to Orlando. Worked with some of the best coaches, and it's a tough game. We were just talking about it in the player lounge. Like, so many people don't see the amount of players and professionals that don't make it, and how difficult that is. Like, I was trying to play mini tours. I did Q school. I didn't have sponsorship. I didn't have really that kind of a support. Unfortunately. And so I was very lucky that my family was very supportive. And I tried, and I got injured, and then I got the yips, and then it was just like, and then once you do that, you're just like, okay,
right.
I think maybe we're good.
But Su Ann, I think people need to understand, and you spoke about it earlier, about it is an expensive game.
Mm-hmm.
And to get to this level, you have to have more than just your family and yourself backing you. You have to have other people come in and help you, don't you?
100%. 100%. And you know what? It's difficult for people to go, yeah, here's 50 or 60 or whatever it might be, or 30, whatever the number is. And then you don't deliver either. It's all hard. It's we watch guys every week who are just at the top, cream of the crop, right? And they've gone through all that. But then there's a lot of people that don't get through it. And it is difficult. It's like a vicious cycle. I like to call it a vicious cycle mentally. If you have a sponsor, you still think about the finances. You still feel the pressure because you feel like you have to deliver, right? And if you don't have a sponsor, you feel like even more so, I think you feel like you have to deliver. You feel like you don't want to waste your family's money. And then after a few years that go by, enough to cause a lot of doubt, to creep in. And I think for me, it was just another one of those moments I think it was my final moment of just basically saying, all right, you either are going to go 150%, and you got to be willing to do that and love it enough to get through the dark times, or you just stop. You got to stop right now because you're young enough to maybe go and find another career. I don't want to keep draining, any sort of family account.
Right.
I felt bad, and my parents both have been, they came from nothing, so they've worked really hard, and I know how hard they've worked. And so I chose the second one. I think I'm good. I don't think I love it enough to move on.
How did you get involved with LIV Golf and the broadcasting side of it?
So we'll start with the broadcasting side. As I was on the way out of my professional attempt, I don't want to call it a career because it was hardly a career. I like to call it a professional attempt. But I was invited. Back then, we had Fox Sports Asia.
Yes.
Based out of Singapore, studios there. Got called by a friend of mine and said, hey, we need a studio analyst to fill in for the Honda LPGA. I was like, all right, cool. I was in town. I was visiting home and got in there and was like, never understood really, and still even then didn't understand it, the behind the scenes of what broadcast is and production and how to put a production together. And so then I did that show. Was fun. I had a great time. Still didn't think I was going to make a career out of it. Then I got invited back the second time. Then it was like the second time that I went in, I was like, this could be good. This could be it. This could be something but even then I didn't know, because I tried to teach. I tried to maybe consider going into PR communications. But then kind of doors open, and I always say this, I'm very lucky. to have been presented opportunities. And I think one thing led to another. And I started kind of hosting corporate gigs. I started doing other types of TV. Then I got into radio, music radio. And then in between all that, went back to do the studio shows. And then, you know, probably a year, 2 years after that was like, okay, hey, you want to do, go to some of the majors and do like reporting for us? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you get to travel and go see all these places.
But I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I have no clue. But
like a fish out of water.
Yeah. I was just, I would go there and I had no idea what a highlight thing was. Like, like what is a teleprompter? You know, I just had no idea. Anyways, so I just kind of learned as I went. And I was very lucky to have really good people. Some, I call my mentors along the way that have showed me how it's done and teach me and educate me. And I was always very curious. I went in with, and still am, like a very curious mind as to how it works. And so, yeah, I just learned along the way and here I am. And how I got the LIV job was I worked with our SVP of worldwide production, James Watson. He back then was working for Asian Tour Media. Mm-hmm. And he hired me for a job and that's how I got to know him. A job on the Asian Tour. I did 1 or 2 events with him. And I think when this whole thing came about, he gave me a call and said, hey, would you be interested? We're going to throw your name in. And a few interviews, obviously some vetting. They had to look at options, all that, you know, that whole process. And I got a call about a month, before June 2022 that I got the job. So here I am, my 4th season, and I'm extremely blessed, man. It's pretty awesome.
What's that ride been like?
Mostly great. I think I don't want to sugarcoat stuff because it is hard. You know, I had to learn pretty quickly. We do it so differently here. And everything that I have been, I guess, in some ways trained to do, I had to undo. Kind of the simple laws or unwritten laws of broadcast, you know, with encores in the booth, the cadence of the show. It was so different. And then obviously here we got team. And at the start I was nervous. You know, I think everybody was. We were new. You know, I think we were criticized a fair amount. And I think, you know, the first day of the broadcast, I don't think I've been more nervous than that. But you know, it's been still am learning, still am trying to improve, still am trying to grow. But it's been a great ride. You know, it has its tough moments. It's a high pressure job. You make instant decisions pretty quickly on what to say. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, it's been an absolute blast. It's such a privilege to do. I remind myself of that every day.
Yeah, no doubt. What is it like working with David Faraday?
I love David. I love, you know, I remember when he first walked into our green room where, you know, our truck or whatever you want to call it. I was starstruck. You know, I've watched so many of his shows and love his commentary. And so it took me a long time, like probably a good season to like be fully comfortable, you know, like without being like imposter syndrome type thing. But he is such a great guy. He is obviously, I think everybody knows this, he is funny as hell.
Yes.
But he's so generous. He is so generous and he's very kind. And he's always, you know, at the start, I would always say, hey, David, what can I do? How can I get better? You know? And he would always be so generous with advice and tips. And, you know, I would have days where I would want to, you know, bang my head on a wall of things that I've said or an interview that I've done that wasn't perfect or, you know, thought I looked silly. And I said to him, he goes, don't worry about it. You know, it happens. And he's so comforting that way. So it's been great.
How many times during a broadcast do you just bust out laughing over something he has said?
His liners are the best.
And they're so quick.
They're quick. He's so fast. But I remember so many times, because I wear the headset on the golf course, I'm walking with the players and they can't hear anything, right? I got my headsets, but I'm just laughing. And everyone must just think I'm crazy or like I'm having a moment or something. But, it's so different. And then I'll have to come in and call a shot or have a conversation, and I can't quite stop laughing. I think you can hear it through the microphones with Arlo and Jerry, the guys in the booth, and, Dom, myself on the golf course, Pat Perez now. Man, we laugh and we have a blast.
All right, some tips. I think I know the answers here, but for the listeners that don't, how many times do the caddies tip you off on like a club that a player has pulled to play?
All the time. All the time. I mean, we get information from them, and before I start, I said, "Hey, can you just signal clubs to me just so we know?" And I we tell them, "Hey, we got graphics on how far it is, but it'd be nice to know what club they're hitting. Are they going to hit a punch 7, a high 6, a little cut around the corner, whatever it might be." So they are so helpful. All these caddies are amazing. They make us sound smarter.
It's on Fox, and when you look at how it is presented, it is totally different than any type of golf people have watched before if they have not watched LIV Golf. Why should they watch LIV Golf?
Why wouldn't you? Right? Why wouldn't you? It's so much fun. I always say this. Anytime you get more opportunity to watch the game, to watch the best players in the world play, I think that's a great thing. I think what we have to offer here is obviously, we have the team aspect. Golf's been such an individual sport. I personally loved playing in college. I loved playing on the national team. I loved traveling and being together as a team. It's a lonely sport, and I think people don't fully understand that. And so you can hear all these players talking about the camaraderie, the team aspect, actually being able to have buddies support you and be a team. I mean, you look at the young guys like David Puig, you look at Caleb Surratt, all these young guys. If they were to go on the tour, they have to figure it out themselves. It's an intimidating process, more intimidating than people give it credit for. Mm-hmm. And now they're here, and you have John Rahm, you have Phil Mickelson, you have Sergio Garcia, some of the legends of the game, take you under their wing and say, "Hey, let me help you out." And I think that is such a great aspect. But it's so exciting because you got 4 scores counting every single day. The team competition changes so quickly, and it's so high pressure. You don't want to be the 4th guy. You don't want to be the guy that sucked and brought your team down, go from the podium to like 8th place. No one wants that. And so it's exciting. But also, I think the cadence of our broadcast is so different. Our graphics, our innovation, the information we provide viewers I personally like it, not because I'm biased. I'm just a golf fan. And I think I enjoy that kind of information. Then, of course, you got the teams, you got the music. 54 holes. The pace of play is great. It's a shotgun start.
I was going to say it's a shotgun start. So everybody's out there at one time.
Yes.
And it's, all right, ball's in the air. Let's go.
Yes, exactly. And you see everybody, right? From a fan experience, it's the same thing. You come and you show up, shotgun at 11. You're going to see everyone. You want to walk across the fairway to find Phil? Sure, go ahead. And so that's, from a fan experience, that's great. If you're here on site, the fan village, stuff that they have really accessible for kids and families. It's so family friendly. It is a fun atmosphere. I was just at the fan village moments ago. I was hosting something this morning, and they had so many activities to get your kids involved and get them interested in the game. And at the end of the day, we all want to grow the game. We all want to make an impact in some way. And I think there's these little things that maybe we all take for granted, activations. And what I've noticed in my 4th season, halfway through the 4th season, is how much more I see younger kids, who come out and watch. It's incredible. And from someone who grew up in a place where we didn't have access to maybe this kind of caliber of players, it's awesome. How good is that? You get front row seat and you get to see this stuff and you get to see these guys and watch how they do it. It's cool, and so the fan experience is great because you get the music, you get the shotgun, you get the team aspect. And then from a viewership perspective, it's the same thing, just maybe graphics, innovation, stuff like that maybe makes us different.
Best stop on the LIV tour for you, which one would it be?
I'm from Singapore and we stop in Singapore, so I should be saying Singapore, but if I were to be honest, it's got to be Adelaide. It's our Super Bowl. There's nothing like it. It is incredible. It's such a big sporting nation. They're so hungry for this field to be there. They love their golf, and they bring a unique, the fans, they do, the Australians, they bring such a great atmosphere to the event. And that event wouldn't be that if not for them.
Do you think LIV Golf could expand to female? Female league?
Look, I think we all hope that will be the case, but that's a question that's something that I can't answer.
Above your pay grade.
Way above my pay grade. That's but hopefully we'll see. I'm not sure. I think that would be awesome.
All right, here's questions you can't answer. Last couple of questions here. Favorite golf course you've ever played?
Oh, it's got to be Torrey. Yeah. Torrey is pretty awesome. In fact, I also paraglided over it. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Adrenaline rush?
I'm an adrenaline junkie. Guilty as charged, but I love it. It's such a beautiful place. I love San Diego.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's awesome. Fantasy foursome, living or deceased, you and three others that you could play around to golf with. Who would they be?
So I will be the fourth, right? So three
You're
others?
the fourth, so
okay.
3 others.
Tiger.
That was quick.
Tom Brady.
Oh.
Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
That will be my 4-ball. Yes. With a lot of music and a lot of drinks.
Su Ann, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
At Stevens, our philosophy is to invest every dollar as if it were our own, to seize opportunity, to anticipate rather than react, to deliver constant focus in an ever-changing world, and to pursue the objectives of our clients in order to help them reach their financial goals. A proven history of helping companies and individuals. Stevens, member NYSE SIPC.
From Central Arkansas to South Arkansas to Northeast Arkansas, across the state to Northwest Arkansas, you will find a Beechwood hospitality property. From the Haywood in El Dorado to the Hilton Garden in Jonesboro, to the Doubletree in Bentonville and the Staybridge Suites just south of Baumwalker Stadium, Beechwood Hospitality has a room for you. Beechwood Hospitality is the leader in hotel property management in the state. Make sure you find a Beechwood Hospitality hotel for your next overnight stay.
I'm Dr. Lowry Barnes. When it comes to orthopedic care, there's no place like the Orthopedic and Spine Hospital at UAMS Health. We built this hospital just for you, with state-of-the-art surgical suites, advanced technology, and the state's largest group of fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeons. It's the best place in Arkansas to get you moving again. And if you need urgent orthopedic care, UAMS Ortho Now is right here for you at the Orthopedic and Spine Hospital at UAMS Health, where motion lives and service leads.
That's all the time we have for this edition of From the Shortgrass, presented by UAMS Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. As always, thank you for listening. I want to thank Su Ann Heng for her time that she took out of her busy schedule back during the summer when LIV Golf Dallas was taking place. Also, don't forget, the pros are coming next week to Pleasant Valley Country Club here in Central Arkansas. The Simmons Bank Championship presented by Stevens. It's the second leg of the Charles Schwab Cup playoffs on the PGA Tour Champions. Some great golfers are coming to Central Arkansas. Log on to SimmonsBankChampionship.com for more information and to get your tickets. Remember, when you find your ball mark on the green, fix it and a couple of more. And I hope to see you sometime soon from the Shortgrass.
You have been listening to From the Shortgrass, presented by UAMS Health, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine, a weekly podcast dedicated to the game of golf. This has been a presentation of the Buzz Radio Network in association with Majestic Cubby Productions.